himself. They said that there may have been some contributing factors in terms of like alcohol, but he was depressed. And then we also saw where everybody knows this. Nick Reiner is right now being charged with the murder of his parents.
It's a very that's a really shocking and very, very sad story.
Right. So Rob and Michelle. Okay. And Rob and Michelle Reiner, their son is being charged with his murder. And of course, the news is, or what they're saying, and this is just what in the grapevines, they're saying that he had his medication for schizoaffective disorder diagnosis, and that it was adjusted shortly before the incident. Of course, we can't verify any of that, but we're just talking about what we have seen in the tabloids. And so that's why we want to speak with the doctor. Just see if we can.
Do we have her back now?
Is she back? Okay, because maybe we could just have her call in at the same time as well while we sort that out. Okay.
Dr. Sell, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
There we go.
There we go. We got you.
But you see, the lucky thing is that you heard everything I just said.
How are you today?
I hope my...
Right, you're going in and out a little bit, but we can hear you. Okay, that's great. So you heard all our little spiel just now and the introduction. So you know why we need you.
We have some questions for you.
Okay.
And for our listeners.
I mean, this is some really big stuff.
Go ahead, doctor.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay. Anyways, I feel like this is coming in
Okay.
from my house. So we'll see. Station, huge thing. What we've done in the industry is that when you increase or decrease psychiatric medications for homicidal and suicidal behavior increases exponentially. So with the Reiner case, it's really not using.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Hold on, because something is wrong with this. Should we have her call in, maybe, and still have her on the feed so we can see her, but just maybe call. Okay, doctor. What we're gonna do
is we're gonna.
I mean, you're still gonna be on the feed, but we're just going to call you as well. Just give me 1 second, because you might be clearer on the call. I'm not sure what's happening there. All right, 1 moment. Let's see if we could get you on. You can go ahead and continue.
Okay. In the meantime, I mean, it's a very serious issue that's affecting, many families across the United States and the world. And we have the doctor here, and hopefully she's going to be able to answer some of our questions and some of our listeners' questions. They would call in, and
I'm wondering if you can hear me now.
We hear you really well. Yes.
Okay. Maybe we can leave it there then.
Yeah. Perfect. Very good. Very good. Very good. No problem. No problem.
It was you.
It was your end.
It's always my end of the issue.
No.
I apologize.
It's okay. No worries.
Just for that, doctor, we're gonna have you back next week. I'm joking.
I will. I'll come back anytime.
Okay.
All right. So let's just get right into it. For listeners and viewers, again, thank you guys for your patience and
sorry about that,
for being with us. So, doctor, for listeners who may not know, what exactly is an SSRI?
An SSRI is a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. So what it's supposed to do is increase the amount of available serotonin in between your neuron gap. Okay, so it doesn't increase the amount of serotonin that you produce. It increases the useful serotonin is what it's supposed to do. But there's a lot of long-term consequences to that we don't even know about. And most people are stuck on these for 10, 20, 30 years or more. And so what happens is we end up increasing dose, decreasing dose, changing, med stacking. And I feel like when we were talking about the Rob Reiner case, that probably happened to that person quite a lot, which is why they did a med change. Because what happens over time when you take psychiatric medication, any psychiatric medication, not just SSRIs, it will reduce the impact, which is why people add milligrams or change what they're taking, things like that, because it's the clinical term is the poop out factor, really, with an SSRI. It ends up pooping out after a while. So, and then you get the stack.
They raise tolerance to it.
There's definitely a tolerance and then a dependence as well. So
now that's a physical dependence, correct?
Yes, a physical dependence.
Okay, as opposed to an addiction, because I think a lot of people get confused between a physical dependency and an addictive addiction to a substance. And if you
even in addictions, there's a dependence with addiction.
Correct.
Too, right? So there's a lot of similarities there. I think the biggest thing is for us to not use the moral compass as the defining version between what a dependence and what an addiction is. Like, for instance, when people say, well, the difference is I don't lie, cheat, or steal. For an addiction, I'm like, we're using a moral compass definition,
Exactly.
as to what that is. But, really what it is there's lack of craving, ultimate cravings and triggers and things like that don't happen with a dependence on something. You don't ever see anybody craving an SSRI because they drove by a pharmacy,
right?
For
Exactly.
instance, versus, so.
Exactly. As opposed to driving by the corner drug shop.
But doctor, but doctor, let's seriously. I know maybe you have seen the influx of the domestic violence and why it is that we have to be dealing with this today, or on this program, is because, like, for example, I'm not sure if you're familiar with what happened in Shreveport, Louisiana, where that father, I don't even know if I should use the word allegedly anymore, but his 7 biological children were murdered, along with a nephew or a cousin. So that's 8 minor children, and then his 2 children's mother were also shot. Thankfully they survived, and the funeral was just recently this weekend. You should see all the little 8 caskets, little mini caskets
so
going
sad.
there. And so,
It's so sad.
yeah, it's his own biological
children,
kids, right?
right.
So somebody must
Incredible.
be thinking, like, no, something is in the water, or something is wrong. There's got to be a mental issue. I mean, somebody can't just be that evil on their own, right? For this one, we don't know if there was any medication involved in this one or at all. But we're just trying to get through with all this and just try to see if there's any warning signs. Or for this one, though, I think his wife, I think that the tabloid said his wife had asked for a divorce. So that might be a
That may
triggering
have been a
factor.
trigger. Yeah, of course. When you.
Oh, the question would be why? I mean, why
Why?
did she ask for a divorce? Like, what was going on for him or them in their relationship? There's a lot of psychosocial factors to take into consideration too. And do we know toxicology? Do we know if he did this under the influence of anything? Right? So, what was his lifestyle like that he would do this? Having worked in the prison, these are very interesting conversations to me, because I wish that there were even a way psychologically to evaluate if someone's going to be a harm to someone else,
Yes.
right? Or an aggression. There's really no psychological tools that are really good at assessing that kind of stuff, right?
I wish
They're
there
all
were. I
good
think it was
guesses.
called.
I wish
It would
there were
stop
too.
so many of this from happening.
It could, but then you have to also be in front of somebody assessing them, right? So would that person ever been in front of a psychologist to do this assessment tool in the first place, or in a doctor's office? Probably not. So in order to assess, they have to be in front of the people to actually do the assessment, right?
Well, going back to
And
the
when you say in front of them, you mean for an extended period of time to see the reactions and the results of the medication, because I understand that these medications don't kick in right away, and that there's a build-up period. Is that a true fact?
So yes, that's That's technically true. Was this person that we're talking about on medication? Because we're talking about different people.
Right. Nick was the one. Nick was
Nick
on
definitely
medication.
was.
Nick Reiner.
Yeah.
Nick Reiner was for sure. But the
Yeah.
other one that you're talking about that killed like 8 kids, like, was that person, do we know, were they on medications or under the influence of anything? I'd be
We
hard
don't know
pressed to think they
exactly.
weren't, to be
Well,
honest,
the
but-
the one, the Fairfax guy. It was said that he drunk.
Well,
he was alcoholic.
Alcoholic.
Because he was recently within he was a lieutenant governor one time at Virginia, and then he had actually lost
law
his
degree.
bid. He was about to go for governor, and then there were some sexual allegations levied against him, which was way back from college days. And because
Oh,
of that,
geez.
Yeah,
so
they went
because
that
of
far
that,
back.
because of that happened, it's alleged that he had lost his that run, and then he was an attorney, and then now he went from making like $400,000 per year to like $11,000 per year the year before he died or killed himself. And then his wife was a very successful dentist. And so I think with all of that, and then he turned to alcohol. That's the allegation, that he turned to alcohol,
Yeah.
the substance, alcohol. And so it's what the court had said. They were supposed to be having their final divorce hearing, and the court was going to make a ruling for him to leave the house by the end of April, and then he would leave the house by the end of April, and she was going to get custody allegedly of the 2 children. So here it is, and so this happened like a couple days before the deadline for him to leave the house, right? And then with the alcohol. But the reason why I think the court was saying that, he's going to lose custody is because the allegations about his drugs, his the alcohol use. And I think that played a effect. So I don't know if he had any SSRIs or any other thing. A matter of fact, that brings me to my next question. What are some common SSRIs?
Yeah, exactly.
Doctor?
Some of the biggest common ones would be, you'd hear like, am I allowed to say the names on the air? Because sometimes they don't like that.
That's fine.
That's fine. Please go ahead.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Go right
we
ahead.
hear one more thing right here on the Global Brief. We don't sugarcoat.
We don't sugarcoat
We don't
it.
fluff. We
All
cut
right.
right
wanna-
to it.
we wanna hear the real
First
stuff.
timer here. So,
Yes, yes.
I mean, Prozac would be, I'm just thinking of some of the most common ones: Lexapro, Prozac, sertraline, Zoloft. An SNRI common would be Effexor. Those are the pretty biggest common ones that we're talking about. There's all kinds of them now. So, I mean, the list is vast.
What about, are there usually side effects, or if so, what are the most common side effects patients should expect if they're on any of these SSRIs?
I'd like to talk about some of the effects that people don't talk about.
Let's go.
Perfect.
Emotional blunting.
Yeah.
So what emotional blunting is just kind of not caring. So you might not be thinking. So I'm not saying these people were not thinking if they were on SSRIs, but it doesn't allow you to kind of think through consequences. Like, it wouldn't matter if I lived or died is kind of some of the thought processes around this. I don't care. Inability to access pleasure, connection with people, sexual side effects happen quite frequently. I don't know if we talked about post-SSRI sexual dysfunction, which is PSSD. That really has to do with not just loss of libido, but loss of sexual functioning. And some of this can be forever. So for some people, it's just after they quit, but PSSD is actually forever, or could be forever for many people. And that is something that we don't talk about. So I think about people on psychiatric medication of all sorts, who have a general loss of pleasure, which doesn't allow you to connect to yourself or to other people. And that can change the landscape of a person and how they view others and themselves within the world. So.
Absolutely.
Well, hold on a minute now, Doctor. You just said a
Absolutely.
very important thing. Loss of the libido and certain things like that can then get the person to maybe get so upset that they do something that they normally wouldn't have?
Absolutely.
Well, no, let me hear the doctor. Let me hear the doctor answer.
No question
Let's
about
think
it.
about this.
Can that doctor know, I lost my libido, I'm no angry, let me just go commit
it's
murder?
more
I
than
don't know.
that.
Maybe
It's
that's
more
pushing
than
it too
that.
far.
Emotional blunting. That's very, very huge.
the lack of caring if I do it or not, right? The lack of caring for another person could potentially do that. Also, the lack of ability to, I'll say, think through. So impulsiveness can play a big piece of this as well. So let's say you're impulsive and you don't care if you live or die. Would you really care if anybody else did?
Right.
I mean, I think all of those are worth a good conversation over. And I don't know, I think about it, having been someone that was on an SSRI for 6 years and literally lost my life pleasure, I did not care anymore. I can totally see somebody saying, like, if you were to tell me that I would lose pleasure of life for the rest of my life, or have this, it's called anhedonia, like this just dragged down version of self forever, yes. Could that make someone suicidal or homicidal? I think the answer to that is yes.
Absolutely.
We can also think about akathisia.
I was going to say that.
Akathisia is. Yes, the internal restlessness that happens. Often akathisia occurs when people are trying to taper down. Yeah. And that is where suicidal ideation and intent also lives. And I think there's not enough conversation around that either. So if you look at Rob Reiner, or some of these other people, who knows? I mean, the up and down of medication tapering could have caused akathisia, could have caused like lack of pleasure in life. Like, what is life without pleasure?
That's what I'm saying. Is it worth living?
Is
life worth living anymore? And just let me interject right there. For any of our listeners out there and viewers, if you would like to call and ask a question or give your input, please feel free to do so. You can leave your comments in our YouTube chat that is up. You can also call us at 850-446-0562. 850-446-0562. So you could go to the YouTube at the Voice of the Caribbean. All right, but call in 850-446-0562. We're going to be taking a break in about 4 minutes or so, Doctor. So just let you know, Miss Anthony, you had something else to say?
Well, yeah, I'd just like to know when somebody starts a regimen of these SSRIs, approximately how long does it take before some adverse feelings or before the actual compound starts to affect and transition a person into that blunted feeling? Or, you know, I've known some people that are on them and they're always tired and restless, and you know, it seems that they've kind of disconnected themselves, and you know, it's very sad because when you are on that, but then you see everybody else being so jubilant and having a nice life and things like that, I think that also can play into that. How do you feel about that?
Okay, so how long does it take for someone to feel the negative impact? To be honest, for some people, it can be immediately.
Okay.
For other people, it can be a longer period of time. For another group of people, you are spellbound by this forever. So you don't even realize the negative impact that this has had on you because you believe it's saving your life, or you believe that this is exactly what you need. No different than someone who is actually uses alcohol and says that they are calmer, or it helps them do A, B, or C, right?
Or even maybe a benzodiazepine or something.
Yeah, 100%. So for some people, the negative effect is immediate, and they don't realize what happened or what hit them immediately. For other, it's more of a long-term consequence type of thing. I personally, I will report that it was probably about 2 years in for me before I realized how devastating it was, and then I was stuck. So.
Wow.
So I think there's a lot of that. It's really person dependent. And so what I want people to know is that it doesn't always take 10, 20, 30 years for you to have a negative impact. That impact can be immediate. And if you think about things like, let's say, smoking or drinking alcohol, you're not going to have a negative impact if you smoke or drank a couple of times in your life. But the accumulated impact of that can be metabolic and devastating for you, no different than SSRIs or any other type of psychiatric medication.
That brings me to my next question to you. Can SSRIs actually trigger mania or extreme behavior in someone who may have maybe undiagnosed bipolar or something? Can that?
So I have trouble with that too. Yes, can they trigger manic type behavior that looks like bipolar? 100%. What we have to remember is anything in the DSM, which is the diagnostic manual that we use, is basically a collection
It's a
of
very good manual. I've read it myself. It's very, very good.
It's just a collection of symptoms essentially. So to get a bipolar 2 diagnosis is actually pretty easy. But can these medications induce mania? Yes, they can.
Wow.
Does that mean that now suddenly that just brought out your bipolar? I have trouble with that because I don't feel like that's really evidence-based practice. I feel like that is just something that we say to make you feel better. I don't know. I don't. Are you manic? 100%. Usually it's an excess amount of serotonin that causes the mania. But does that mean that it brought about bipolar disorder that was just hidden all these years?
That
that's
might
what they
be
say.
stretching it.
Do I believe it? I don't know. I don't think I believe
All right,
that.
doctor, let's hold that point right now because we're going to a small break and we'll be right back. You're listening to the Global Brief with yours truly, Opal Lee and
Anthony Son.
The City of Lauderhill, the voice of the Caribbean, and Just the Flex presents the annual Celebrity Football Match.
Artists versus media and selectors. It's the year-to-year event. The one that all of Fort Lauderdale, West Palm, and Miami look forward to. Memorial Day, Monday, May 25th. Come see artists versus media and selectors. Artists like Christopher Martin.
Yours truly, Christopher Martin, will be there live and direct Memorial Weekend.
Mike Cobra.
I'm not Cabra, so watch I know. Me I got dead there.
Dexter Daps.
Football celebrity match. Dexter Daps the owner live.
Mr. Lex.
I'm Mr. Alex.
Luke D. Tony Curtis. Joshi. Lali.
Don't know me represent for the celebrity football game.
Wayne Wonder.
It's gonna be a bombshell.
It's the big Celebrity Football Match. Artists versus media and selectors. Memorial Day,
Monday,
May 25th.
at the Lauderhill Sports Complex, 7500 West Oakland Park Boulevard
In Lauderhill.
Presented by the City of Lauderhill, the voice of the Caribbean, and Just the Flex.
Sponsored by Vice Mayor Richard Campbell.
For more info, call 954-816-2993 or 954-999-0070. Purchase tickets online. Eventbrite.com/Celebrity Football Match Artists versus Selectors.
South Florida, get ready. The Voice of the Caribbean 101.5 FM HD2 and 96.9 FM is opening up brand new advertising opportunities serving Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and Palm Beach. We're offering flexible, affordable ad packages designed for local businesses ready to make big moves. Reach the Caribbean American community with music, news, and culture they trust. Call us at 954-999-0070 or 954-999-0134. And let's put your brand on the airwaves with a Voice of the Caribbean.
The Voice of the Caribbean. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, and YouTube.
welcome back to the Global Brief with yours truly, Opal Lee and
Anthony Son.
And of course, we're rocking your world right here on the Voice of the Caribbean 101.5 FM HD2 and 96.9 FM right here in Broward County, Miami, Dade, what is it? Miami, Dade, Palm Beach, Broward. And of course, if you're listening to us on YouTube or on our app, then it's worldwide for you. And we're speaking to Dr. Terilyn Sell herself right here with about a very important topic. It's no laughing matter. I mean, we have been seeing an influx of violence, and we're trying to get down to the meat of the matter and to see how we can maybe help any of you out there who might find yourself in a similar situation. You might be on any of the medication that we have been briefly discussing. We're not going to it because, of course, we're not here to diagnose anyone. We can't. Of course, you'd have to actually become a client of Dr. Sell, right, where she can do her independent diagnosis. But we're just here to to see what's going on, to skim the top of it and see if we can help in any way. So, Dr. Sell, you're still with us. Welcome back.
I am. I'm still here. Hopefully my mic is still working.
Oh, it's perfect.
Fine. We hear you great.
It is so perfect.
Absolutely.
And so we only have this final, we're on the final leg of it, right? So if anybody wants to call in with their questions or concerns, it's 850-446-0562. 562. That's 850-446-0562, or you can just leave your comments on our YouTube chat on the Voice of the Caribbean. Tony, I think before we went to the break, you had a question?
Yeah, I'd just like to know what family members, tend to ignore things, particularly when, their family is undergoing treatment and things like that. But what do you suggest if you and the family notice that they're becoming threatening or unstable, and that there's been a complete behavioral change within that person?
Well, the first thing I just want to mention is that families are often just as spellbound as the person, because they do believe that once a person gets put on medication, that is the holy grail for them, that is the only thing that's going to help them. So oftentimes they don't even see it as being harmful. They only see it as being the helpful thing that they need. So they might push for more meds or a med change and things like that. So I think that's important to understand. Secondarily, I mean, if anyone is threatening to harm themselves or harm someone else, you have to go to, take appropriate action for that person. Don't leave that in your own hands to do. The emergency rooms are there for a reason, especially if this is iatrogenic harm from the person, meaning harm that wasn't the thing that's supposed to help you is the thing that hurts you. That's what iatrogenic harm means. So take them to the ER. Problem is, to be listened to again in those situations is very difficult, because again, the thing that's supposed to help you is what's hurting you, and a lot of people don't view it like that quite yet. So yeah, but definitely seek help with the appropriate authorities and things like that, which is a controversial thing for me to say, but that person's life or somebody else's life is paramount first.
I have a question for you, Doctor. Well, go ahead.
Well,
okay,
yeah,
go ahead, Tony.
I just have a continuation. I've heard a lot of people talk about they feel like they're losing control. They talk about harming themselves. I think you just covered that point. But how important is the prescribing doctor to know about prior drug use, violence, bipolar, psychosis, and alcohol use can be thrown in there as well before prescribing these types of medications?
Oh my gosh! So unfortunately, the addiction community is falling prey as the next in line for psychiatric medication, in my opinion, because they're looking at psychiatric medication as being, the legal, most valuable thing to keep them sober. But that's still in the prescribing world today. Like, if you are on alcohol or other drugs, like I've seen it being prescribed, like I'll have clients that'll be active in alcohol use. They'll tell their doctor and they'll give them an SSRI, thinking that that's going to help reduce their alcohol use when it doesn't. It actually, SSRIs can increase alcohol misuse and abuse, in case anybody was wondering. So if you are on an SSRI or you think that's going to be the savior or holy grail for you, it actually might make your alcohol dependence worse. So those are things to consider. So having a full history of a person obviously is the most important thing. A lot of people don't freely give the history, or they minimize their history, things like that, out of shame and guilt and all the reasons why. But is it important? 100%, because if you're still using and now you're compounding on top of that psychiatric meds, that could lead to disaster for everybody involved. So I'm just encouraging everybody to be as open and honest with your providers as possible. And if you're a provider, ask the uncomfortable questions, because sometimes I think providers don't ask those questions at all, or they just kind of gloss over them, but it's okay to ask them, even if they're uncomfortable.
I think you got to be very honest. You just got to tell them.
But listen, going back a little bit with the domestic violence issue, all right? Some of us may be in relationships, and it's just because of the stigma with this whole relationship. I know I see the comments. Some people said, you know what, I might as well just stay single because of everything that's happening, right? And they don't know if their partner is on any medication or falling off their medication, not taking their medication, and then here it is that they play victim. For example, just in case, any of the medication could be a contributing factor. Could be. We're not saying it has to be, but just could be. My question to you is that if someone is already controlling, jealous, or threatening, could agitation from medication make the situation more dangerous?
Oh, for sure. 100%. no different than any alcohol or drug use, right? So the impulsivity can make things worse. But if they're already there, I think it would be valuable for you to assess why you remain in those relationships.
That's what I was about to say. Get out.
Exactly. Get out.
Yeah.
You know, I think
I understand the complexities there too. There's a lot of complexity and there's probably a lot of trauma, but don't wait. Yeah.
Remember we had Dr. Estes a couple weeks ago, and then we had also another doctor on a while ago, and we were saying, some people, what was it, Dr. Longmore, that I think that says, listen, the minute you're in that situation, I know a lot of people think, okay, I don't have the funds to go anywhere else. I don't have family members to go with. And Dr. Longmore said something that I think was very telling. She said, if those victims knew what the outcome would have been tomorrow or the next day, that they would have been in the morgue, she's thinking, or she said, they would have found somewhere else out to go do somewhere else. So a lot of people right now, because I'm a divorce attorney, and so yes, and I know there are people who are going through what they're going through, and they said, listen, Miss Lee, I can't leave the house. If I leave the house, I've abandoned it, and then my spouse is going to get it, and then we have children, and then what my children are going to think about me, and then where my children are if I leave the house and go start staying with a friend or a church sister or brother or somebody, then now I'm going to lose custody of my children. And then, so that was very telling that Dr. Longmore said, because listen, if that client of yours knew, okay, either you leave the house today and leave your spouse to the house and abandon it, or you're going to be 6'6", which one would you choose? And I think maybe if people were speaking up.
Well, yes and no. I mean, I used to run the domestic violence center in my county some years ago. And one of my very first calls was somebody who did leave, filed for divorce, and then he tracked her down and killed her in the police department.
Oh my gosh.
In the lobby of the police department, shot her dead.
Wow.
So I wish it were as simple as that. Like, you can make those decisions to leave. The complexity here is profound, right? But I do think for a lot of people, it is, they don't feel like they can leave. They don't have the resources to leave, the finances to leave. And they also don't want to leave their children, or because they believe that they can protect them if they're in the relationship, versus the kids, being in a custody visitation circumstance, which a lot of times that happens. Just because you're in domestic violence against you doesn't mean that the perpetrator won't have access to the children. And that's a scary proposition. But I do think that people need to start thinking ahead a little bit more, because obviously, and I'm not trying to be a victim blamey, but this person who was controlling was probably controlling before you had children too. So let's start making some decisions around that, which might look a little bit different than we're not trying to, mitigate circumstances later.
Yes, and I think it's very important that they seek professional people like yourself, or if they feel that they're victims of domestic violence, you got to go to the proper authorities. For example, the other day I saw in the news where a sister called her two siblings or two brothers, because she was in a domestic violence issue, and she called her brothers to assist her, right? And her ex, or the guy, allegedly killed her two brothers. And so here it is that what she should have done, right, was call the authorities, the police, because
call the authorities and get them involved, and or there's hotlines that can be called.
I think that sounds so easy to do, but you have to remember, if you're a victim of domestic violence and you call the authorities and nothing happens, something can happen to you later for doing that. You will pay the price. And this is the complexity here. So my thought would be reach out to your local domestic violence shelter, because they're usually, anyways, in the state that I'm in, they're usually located in every county has that. I do realize that some counties are more resource rich than others, but that's where I would go if you believe you're a victim of domestic violence in any way, which can be financial, emotional, physical. So
I think that's a very important point you just made, because people are saying, okay, if I leave, I might be killed. He's going to follow me, or he or she, because not only men alone
happens both ways,
or abusers, right? It could be women. So both,
too.
right? So we're talking about both. Yep. If you leave, the person might follow you and harm you. So, but and again, if you make the report and stay in that house, that's not good either. You're going to have repercussions for that.
Yeah,
but
you can.
Another thing is that, and I guess I'm pleading to everybody out there that we have to take this domestic violence situation very serious. If you know, do not use it just for, you're using it as a weapon. Because there's some people, do not weaponize it, because make sure, because then you'll make it bad for people who are really truly victims, right?
There you go.
And so
same thing with narcissists. Like everybody's ex is a narcissist. Like all these things.
Yeah.
Like narcissism used to be reserved for actual narcissists, and now it's being misused in pop psychology, in my opinion, for basically anybody that you have conflict with that used to be your, boyfriend or girlfriend or ex, spouse. But I think doing that also minimizes the term of narcissism, and it also plays a role in domestic violence stuff too, because, Max is a narcissist, which means he's an abuser or she's an abuser, right? So I think we misuse terms a lot and water them down, so then they lose meaning altogether.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's it. So don't use domestic violence to gain custody of the children, or to attempt to gain custody, or to get possession of the home, or to get the home, or even to get funds, to get money. I'm not calling any names, but don't do that. So, make sure that you are really and truly are a victim, and seek the appropriate help. Dr. Sells, are there any myths about SSRIs that you would want to correct?
Well, the biggest myth is the reason why you were prescribed in the first place. The chemical imbalance myth is the biggest myth of all time, which sent hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people worldwide to be prescribed SSRIs. So the broken brain myth, you were born with a broken brain, you have a broken brain. And I'm like, if we just look at this from even a lived experience, like, most of the time people are getting on SSRIs for things that have nothing to do with being born with a broken brain. So if you break up with your boyfriend, you end up on an SSRI. You're grieving, you're an SSRI. So suddenly now, because you're grieving, you're on an SSRI for a lifetime because your brain was broken. That doesn't make sense. There was a huge landmark study, I think it was in 2022. Joanna Moncrief in the UK did it, and it was a meta-analysis of like hundreds of research that was looking at this SSRIs as being using it for a chemical imbalance in your brain. And the research just doesn't support the chemical imbalance theory at all. It has never supported that theory. It has been researched beyond research, and I thought that the nail in the coffin in 2022 was going to be the end of it, but it's not. People still say they have a broken brain. So the biggest myth with chemical imbalance is you're not born with a broken brain, you don't have a chemical imbalance, you don't need an SSRI to fix your chemical imbalance. However, once you are on your psychiatric medications, you now have a chemical imbalance,
right,
which has led to the dependence, which has led to the inability to taper off. That is the biggest myth of all time, which has literally screwed over, millions of people and taken their lives from them, in my opinion, because of the prescribing chemical imbalance myth, which, by the way, was an original marketing scheme from Big Pharma, which caught on to prescribers, and then Big Pharma quietly walked that back.
That's the money grab.
They walked it back. If you in the early or in the 90s, it was all about chemical imbalance in your brain, blah blah blah. Then suddenly they don't talk about that anymore because they knew that it wasn't true or real, and they couldn't substantiate that with research. So but that didn't help the consumers because they're still being told they have a chemical imbalance.
Right.
Well, since we just talked about the myths just now, Doctor, are there any? What should listeners understand about any benefits that you would think of SSRIs?
I can't think of any.
What? You can't think
I
of any
can't think of any. I've seen and know so many people that have been on them.
Doctor, go
no, I'm telling you right now. I know a lot of people who've been on them and have tried them, and not only has it been a negative.
Hello, you're not a doctor, Tony.
No,
you're not a doctor.
I'm not a doctor.
Listen, Dr.
But
Seth. Hey.
then you got to taper off them, and it creates a whole vicious cycle.
Let me tell you why I'm doing this, Dr. Seth.
Very difficult to get off of.
Recently, we had another doctor, right? Dr. Jess Huff was on, and
Dr. Joseph?
No, Jess Huff. Zarina
true.
just off, right?
Dr. Joseph,
And I
yeah,
think
anyway,
she was basically, I think it was her position. You can correct me if I'm
yeah,
wrong.
she likes to prescribe that to her patients.
Calm down here. Don't say that.
I mean,
Don't say that.
I think it's ridiculous because I've seen so many negative results from people that I know just in my world that these medications have absolutely destroyed their lives.
So you don't see any benefits then, really?
I don't.
Not
see
you.
Any. I don't.
The
see,
doctor, Dr. Sell.
Well, okay, so there's about 35% efficacy rate of SSRIs, meaning about 35% of the people benefit from the prescription. So that leaves, my math is terrible, 65%, is that
correct.
right? Okay, thank you. 65% of people that don't benefit from it. So are you going to be the one who benefits, or are you going to be the one who doesn't benefit? And if you are in that 35%, when does the benefit end? Right? That's the question that nobody's asking. When does that benefit end? And how do you know that you'll be the one who gets harmed, or you're the one who gets helped? So there are people in the beginning that will say, it did initially help me. Mm-hmm. I think overall, it's the people who have been on it for a while that are like, I either didn't really feel any different, or I just couldn't find a pathway off. Yeah, and I think those are the conversations. When you're in a doctor's office, I think the average time is like 7 to 12 minutes or something in a prescriber's office. They really need to do a much better job of evaluating your lifestyle, and reason why you are feeling the way that you're feeling, instead of just saying, well, I'm a hammer and here's the nail. You're feeling depressed, so I'm going to hammer down an SSRI, and that's going to be that. Those conversations just don't happen. Neither do the conversations of long-term risk and benefit, or sexual side effects, or how to taper and when to taper. Instead, those conversations are replaced with what I call manipulative language. And having been a practitioner that used to use a lot of manipulative language with my clients, I call myself out on that all the time. I would say a lot of really stupid things. Well, it's no different than a diabetic taking insulin. That's messed up, because it is very different than a diabetic taking insulin, right?
Yeah.
So, or would you rather, gain a few pounds and not be depressed? Well, I don't know. Anytime I gain weight, I feel more depressed. But so I would say really terrible things, because that was the perpetuating language in my profession, being the right hand of the psychiatrist. So we would do anything and say anything to keep people medicated, essentially, which is a very shameful thing to admit, but I've admitted it publicly for years now.
Well, guess what? That means you segue right into this. What would be the safest way to either to change or to come off an SSRI? What would you think in your opinion?
That's the thing. That's the whole push right now in our community, and that's what just happened last week Monday when they had the over medicalization summit. I believe it's going to be pushed more for hyperbolic tapering, which is a slow percentage-based tapering versus the problem with tapering altogether is that everybody is so uniquely different, and they used to do. There's no evidence-based practice for tapering up until the last couple years, when they're really starting to push for more hyperbolic tapering, slow tapering.
The Maudsley, does that come into effect at all?
Yeah, the Maudsley deprescribing guideline by Mark Horowitz and others is going to probably be the guideline that they take now. And that's just because everyone is so uniquely different that tapering needs to be a guideline versus a do it in half, take it every other day. Like that kind of stuff really just hurts people. There might be some people that are not hurt by that, but for the most part, people are going to.
But it should go at patient rate.
Patient rate, yeah.
Patient rate as a symptom rate, patient
rate.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to a doctor just saying, okay, we're going to do this.
Do it like this.
Every 2 weeks, we're going to do a 10% reduction and this and that. Mm-hmm. Some people just don't respond to that.
Correct. Well, I think it's important because I help people taper too. When you help someone taper, you're not just tapering the drug, you're tapering everything about their life, and you're getting them back into their body to understand what these withdrawal symptoms feel like, what they are, like a self-awareness to monitoring. Whereas, when you do it any other way, this like do this for 2 weeks, do this for the next 2 weeks, and then you're off. there still is no body awareness. There still is just, I'm offloading my agency to a medical doctor to tell me exactly what to do and how to do it. With hyperbolic tapering, anyways, what it should be is you are getting better in touch with yourself, monitoring your own symptoms with a provider typically, and going at your own pace because you understand your body again.
Right.
That disconnection between body and soul is huge, especially when you're on SSRIs. So, yeah.
That's what always, makes me wonder is how these detox centers say, oh, yeah, come to us and you stay with us 10, 15 days, you'll walk out of here clean and everything will be fine and all of this. And I think that that may come into some protracted withdrawal and some things like this that is another very serious issue.
Well, doctor,
Are you talking about drugs or are you talking about regular prescription medications?
I'm talking about prescription medications that people have become dependent upon or addicted to or whatever you want to use your terminology. They go to
Inpatient
rehab centers.
mental health.
Exactly.
Right. So
I would argue that I think hyperbolic tapering would be useful in the addiction world too.
No, I think so.
Right. So I guess bottom line is, doctor, you don't think medication alone can fix anger, abusive behavior, or domestic violence. Would that be safe to say?
I would say that there is no pill that can fix that.
That's ingrained in a person.
If there were a pill that could fix that,
we'd all be on it.
There would be no domestic violence. If there was a pill that was going to solve that, there would be no domestic violence or violent behaviors. But as a matter of fact, what we're finding out is the medication designed to help fix things actually creates a lot more suicidal and homicidal issues.
Right.
Well, let me ask you, doctor, is there any way or how can to distinguish between medication effects from a pattern of control, threats, jealousy, and abuse? Is there any way for victims to see what would be the difference between each of them to know, okay, maybe he's just jealous, or maybe it's a medication, or maybe it's
what were they like before?
Compounded
The whole thing is, what were they like before they were on medication? If they were controlling before, a medication isn't going to make them less controlling. But if they weren't controlling or aggressive before, and now they're on medication, and they are, then we need to start looking at that. The thing that's supposed to help is actually harming. I mean, there are Facebook groups out there called Marriages Destroyed by Antidepressants. Like, go there. You'll see all kinds of stories about how someone's personality changed once they were on antidepressant. And so I also think about kids in schools, and this is just an observation. This isn't my research. I didn't do research on this, but there's so much aggression in schools, in elementary schools and things like that.
Particularly in these days with the internet.
Yeah, well, throwing chairs and, holding classrooms hostage and all this stuff. Typically, those kids are already medicated.
Yeah.
I'm like, if medication was helping, none of that would be a problem. So obviously, there's something to be said for the increase of aggression. And these things are researched, everyone. So the black box warnings that come out there also have aggression listed in them, suicidal, homicidal behavior. And that is well researched. And keep in mind that the big pharma does not want black box warnings on their medications.
Of course
they do not want that, because it's supposed to make people think twice, but it doesn't. We skip over the black box warning as if it's irrelevant information. It is very relevant information. And and think about it like this too. Anything that's on a drug insert or on a black box warning is a negotiation between the FDA and the drug manufacturer. So that's negotiated. That is what we all agreed on to put in that pamphlet or on the black box warning. That is not just something that is like, well, everything goes on here. No, it doesn't. Those are negotiated.
Oh,
okay. So
that's
there's going to
good.
be way more.
Very good
God,
to know
look at
that.
that. Look
Very
at that.
good.
That's true. That's very true. That's a very good, solid point,
Absolutely.
doctor. All right, but listen, we only have about 3 minutes to go. So, doctor, I need to ask you this question. I know, time just flew by. But listen, doctor, for anyone listening today who is taking an SSRI or living with someone on psychiatric medication or experiencing domestic violence, what is the most important message you want them to remember, or are there any closing points that you would want to go ahead and leave with us?
I think the biggest point is don't lose sight of the thing that's supposed to help you hurting you. And I don't think that the answer is in the bottom of a pill bottle for anything that we're going through in today's world, unless you just are looking to be chemically restrained. So think about your lifestyle, nutrition, movement, sleep, meditation,
Exercise.
connection with others. Think about those things first, and maybe some therapy first before you decide to just go in and get a script.
And Dr. Sell, for anybody who might need your services, how would they be able to find you?
Oh, sure. Dr. Teralyn, TERALYN.com.
All right. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you. And
Thank
listen,
you very,
so the
very
bottom
much.
line is, guys, for all our listeners, I see you guys on YouTube. I see you on TikTok. Medication can, I guess, affect mood and behavior, and side effects should be taken seriously. But domestic violence is never acceptable and never something a victim should wait on. So if someone is threatening you, controlling you, hurting you,
gotta get help.
or making you afraid,
Gotta reach
seek
out.
help immediately and get to safety.
Gotta reach out.
It was a pleasure, Dr. Sells. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sells. Thank you very much for being with us here today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you. And there we have it. Is the legal brief? No, not legal brief. It's a global
It's
brief.
a global brief.
Global brief with
what are
yours
you
tru-
getting your attorney side going
Sorry,
here?
the attorney side is kicking in, but it's a global brief with yours truly, Opal Lee. And,
Anthony Son.
And we'll do this again next week, Monday and Tuesday from 1 p.m. until 2 p.m. So keep it locked right here on the Voice of the Caribbean, WLYF 101.5 FM HD2. And simulcasting on 96.9 FM. Of course, you can hear us in Miami, Broward, Palm Beach, and globally if you go on any of our apps. All right, so always a pleasure. Keep it locked right here because the fun continues right here on the Voice of the Caribbean. So have a good one. Thank you again, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. So, of course, Anthony, what do you think about all of that? You're ready now for next week, Monday and Tuesday?
I'm ready
This
for next
is
week, Monday and
the all-new
Tuesday.
Voice of the Caribbean. Better sounding radio.
W245BC, Lauderdale Lakes, 96.9 FM, the all-new Voice of the Caribbean.
WLYF HD2 Miami, 101.5 HD2. The City of Lauderdale, the Voice of the Caribbean, and Just the Flex presents
The annual Celebrity Football Match. Artists versus media and selectors. It's the year-to-year event. The one that all of Fort Lauderdale, West Palm, and Miami look forward to. Memorial Day, Monday, May 25th. Come see artists versus media and selectors. Artists like Christopher Martin.
Yours truly, Christopher Martin, will be there live and direct Memorial Weekend.
Matt Cobra.
Matt Cabra say, watch I know. Me I got dead there.
Dexter Daps.
Football celebrity match. Dexter Daps the owner live.
Mr. Lex.
I'm Mr. Lex.
Luke D. Tony Curtis. Joshi. Lali.
Don't know me represent for the celebrity football game.
Wayne Wonder.
Wayne Wonder. It's gonna be a bombshell.
It's the big celebrity football match. Artists versus media and selectors. Memorial Day,
Monday,
May 25th.
at the Lauderdale Sports Complex, 7500 West Oakland Park Boulevard in Lauderdale. Presented by the City of Lauderdale, the Voice of the Caribbean, and Just the Flex.
Sponsored by Vice Mayor Richard Campbell.
For more info, call 954-816-2993 or 954-999-0070. Purchase tickets online. Eventbrite.com/celebrity football match artists versus selectors.
South Florida, get ready. The Voice of the Caribbean 101.5 FM HD2 and 96.9 FM is opening up brand new advertising opportunities serving Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and Palm Beach. We're offering flexible, affordable ad packages designed for local businesses ready to make big moves. Reach the Caribbean American community with music, news, and culture they trust. Call us at 954-999-0070 or 954-999-0134. And let's put your brand on the airwaves with the Voice of the Caribbean.
This is WLYF HD2, Miami.
Lisa B, Ragamuffin International. I'm glad you call I man in I'm Muffin Raga. Kill Tin Pan sound, you never know. On this radio station. It's all over the world. Listen carefully. We have satisfying people. Lisa B, Ragamuffin International. Guaranteed satisfaction. Let me tell you truthfully about this good world and me. Ragamuffin International. Satisfying, hey. Come along, my girl. I know that I will. Ragamuffin International in Bay still playing hot rocks, jump and sound. We lock down all radio station, all around town. Back up, Ragamuffin International, yeah. There me say, stay tuned all the way. All night long, all day long, I want. No other radio station, Ragamuffin International, National Inter. Stay tuned in to me, what we play. Lisa, hey, let me want you and you, hey, you. Ragamuffin International coming to. Hear me say, Lisa, you're the most I know. Yeah. All night long. Stay tuned to Ragamuffin International. Must tell you truthfully about Ragamuffin International. Listen, stay tuned. Playing this special sound. Keep on coming through. Keep your dial right there, yeah. I swear. We're the best, yes. No other radio station can test. Ooh, yeah. Got to warn you and you, hey, you. We got that, what's that? See me say it's true. A big box, a dub. I'm talking current. It's getting through. One of them must say, play music, play. Yeah. Lots of current through the airwave. Don't move the dial. Ooh, I'm talking. Yeah. All night long.
The voice of the Caribbean. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, and YouTube.
Yeah. A raga, so a raga. Oh, yeah. You don't have to dread to be Rasta. Oh, this is not a dreadlocks thing. Divine conception of the heart. Well, you don't have to dread to be Rasta. Well, this is not a dreadlocks thing. Divine conception of the heart. Oh, it's a life of a liberty, lived by the fathers of our history. Uphold the anciency and prophecy, trust in the power of the Trinity. Yeah, got to believe in His majesty. Oh yes, His lineage and divinity. The first step is sovereignty, knowing oneself true royalty. Yeah. You don't have to dread to be Rasta. No, this is not a dreadlocks thing. Divine conception of the heart. Well, Rasta, you don't have to dread to be Rasta. Well, this is not a dreadlocks thing. Divine conception of the heart. Well, don't be afraid of your ever burning fire. Trust in your fire and you'll never get burned. Yeah. The fire that rains over heat, air and water. Yeah. No water can put out your fire. Your fire gonna lift Rasta higher. You don't have to dread to be Rasta. This is not a dreadlocks thing. Divine conception of the heart. You don't have to dread to be Rasta. This is not a dreadlocks thing. Divine conception of the heart. Play for Rasta, yeah.
Yes, you don't have to be Jed to be Rasta. That is so very, very true. Morgan Heritage kicking off an International Tuesday right here on the Voice of the Caribbean. Ragamuffin International in the house. I'm Lisa B. I'll be here with you till 4 o'clock. And of course, we know a lot of people who have dreads and aren't Rasta, as well as the fact that we know a lot of people who don't have dreads, who have a beautiful heart and could be considered, of the Rasta persuasion. Anyways, you got to say a big thanks going out to Opal Lee and Anthony's son for bringing us a great hour of talk radio right here on the Voice of the Caribbean. You can check out the Global Brief every Monday and Tuesday from 1 to 2 p.m. right here on the Voice. And of course, tackling a very important subject today as we tackle mental health awareness, and prescription medication, which, you see those ads it seems like all we advertise now is prescription medication if you watch commercial television. And you see those ads for, mental health wellness, but those long list of side effects at the end, often say, suicidal tendencies and all these other things that seem to be the opposite of what the drug is prescribed to do. So nice to see them shedding some light on that subject right there, as they do each and every program on the Global Brief. Check them out next Monday and Tuesday right here on The Voice. We keep the music pumping right now. Here we go. It's Mighty Mystic. Yes, indeed. Happens to be a good friend out of Boston. Happens to be the brother of the Prime Minister of Jamaica. Mighty Mystic. Revolution.
A revolution, revolution, revolution. A revolution, revolution, revolution. Revolution, revolution, revolution. I think I see them running wild. Now is the time to stand up and fight, I think we need some peace of mind. Lift up your arms and revolution. We are the seeds of Jah. So we've got the right to stand up and chant. So if we all stand up tall, then they all have to fall. If we all shout it loud, then the world will catch on. Singing a revolution, revolution, revolution. A